If you're thinking about starting a business in the UK, there is one big thing that no one warns you about. Now, I remember when I was starting my business, this was probably 15 years ago when I started my first business. I watched all of the videos on YouTube, I read all of the guides and did all of the research I felt necessary to get a good understanding of what was required to start a business, to run a business, and hopefully succeed in business as well. And I'm sure you guys that are in this process are doing exactly the same thing. But one thing that I didn't come across until it was too late is the topic of this video, and that's what we're going to be diving into. And I wanted to share it with you guys because it caused me a real problem when I started my first business. And I don't see anyone mentioning this. Even now, kind of 15 years later, no one is talking about this, but it is a major, major problem. And anyone that is self-employed will know exactly what I'm talking about when I get to it. But it's still important that I share it, recap what's gone on with me, why it's a problem in the first place, what you guys can do about it, and try and ensure that you guys don't get stuck in the same situation that I did. So what I want to do first is take you to the nationwide mortgage application proofs guide. Now, what on earth has this got to do with starting a business, and why should you care about a mortgage if you're starting a business? Well, if you already own a home and you have a mortgage, when it comes to remortgaging, you're going to have serious problems if you're self-employed if you haven't planned for it. And if you don't own a house yet and aspire to own a house, but you're also planning to start your business, if they are close together, i.e. at least like 2 or 3 years later, it's going to be a problem as well. And I'm going to explain that in a bit more detail as we go through this. Before I get into this too much further, I just want to say, as a self-employed person, get used to kind of being discriminated against for being self-employed from mortgage lenders, because as soon as you say you're self-employed, their criteria changes massively. So if someone's employed and they want to get a mortgage, they'll go to the mortgage lender and they'll give them all of the usual details. And then to back up their proof of income, the mortgage lender will say to them, we want payslips. Usually they'll ask for 3 months payslips. And this table shows what Nationwide will ask for. So for example, if you get paid monthly, they're going to ask you for 3 payslips. If they get paid every 2 weeks, they're going to ask you for 6 payslips. So again, 3 months worth, or if you get paid every week, 8 payslips. So only 2 months worth. So that doesn't seem too bad. But if we go back up, what happens if you're self-employed? You need to have been self-employed in the UK for at least the last 2 years. So all of a sudden, we go from needing 3 months proof of income to 2 years proof of income. And to be fair, Nationwide are one of the slightly better ones. A number of the big lenders actually want 3 years, so 2 years isn't actually too bad. So we'll need to see your latest 2 years of HMRC documents, commercial software calculations, or tax computation report. Now, I've just taken out a mortgage with Nationwide. I've taken out a 10-year mortgage, as I hate jumping through these hoops every few years based on how my business is doing at the time or how it has performed over the past 3 years. You know, you might have had the most profitable year ever, but if the 2 years before that they weren't great, they're going to take the average figure and it can really pull things down. So that's why I've taken out a long 10-year mortgage with these guys. And like I say, Nationwide aren't too bad. And for me, they just asked me for 2 years of SA 302 forms, which I'm going to show you later on in the video, and also 2 years of tax overviews, which are really easy to get as well. So Nationwide, in fairness, despite the fact that I disagree with how much proof they want from a self-employed person, I don't think they're too bad when you compare them to some of the other lenders. The other thing that makes this completely crazy as well is that obviously I run a limited company. If I have employees and they want to get a mortgage, they'll just need 3 months payslips. Yet me, with my business, I'll need with these guys 2 years, 2 years proof of my self-employed income, or 3 years with some other lenders. Yet, say my business stops performing or isn't performing as well as I hoped, who's going to be the first people to go? The employees, not me. So it is a crazy situation that we are in. And just to give you some more examples, so that was Nationwide. Up next, we've got Halifax. Let me just zoom in and see what we've got here. So self-employed mortgage criteria, they want the usual proof of ID, 2 years evidence of regular income and account statements, SA 302 forms, or a tax year overview for the past 3 years. So they want SA 302s for the past 3 years. So this is why you've got to be careful. If you're in a good job at the moment, or your income is enough at the moment to remortgage, you may be better off remortgaging with your employed income before going fully self-employed, as trying to get a mortgage within the first year is pretty close to impossible to get a mortgage in the first year, or getting it within the first 2 years becomes quite difficult. But once you get past that 2 year mark, it does get a lot easier. But within the first 2 years, you will probably have to go to a specialist broker who will go to specialist lenders, and you'll have to pay a high interest rate on that mortgage to secure it. So always keep in mind when you're starting a business, whether it's a limited company or a sole trader or a contractor, when it comes to getting a mortgage, they're going to want at least 2 years of proof of income. And just one final example here, we have Santander. So if you are employed, let me again just blow this up so you guys can see. We need to see your last 3 months payslips. Oh, that doesn't sound too bad, does it? What about if you're self-employed though? If you're self-employed, we need evidence to support your mortgage application. So we need either this accountant certificate PDF, which I'm going to show you in a moment, filled out by an accountant, or a self-assessment SA 302 plus tax overviews for the same period. So I believe Santander want 3 years as well. And when you go through to their PDF, it shows you the form they want you to fill out. I don't know if I can zoom into this as well. Let me just scroll over so you guys can see it. So you can see here, they want the last 3 years as well of all of the details, and they want your accountant to fill this out. So all of the lenders have slightly different criteria as to what you need to provide for them to give you a chance of getting a mortgage. But like I say, if it's within the first 2 years of being self-employed, you're probably going to have to go to a broker who is used to working with self-employed applicants, and they can find you a specialist lender. So why is this actually the case? Because this wasn't always an issue. And the cause is the global financial crisis. So what happened in 2007 and 2008, and this article here talks you through what happened. Before the financial crisis of 2007-8, people who couldn't prove their income for a mortgage application often turned to a controversial form of borrowing called self-certification mortgages. More than a decade on, these products have disappeared from the UK market. So what would happen is people that were self-employed would fill out a form to tell them how much they earn, but it didn't have to back that up. And that was part of the thing that contributed towards the global financial crisis. But I'm not going to blame self-employed people for causing the GFC. This is primarily in the hands of the bank. This is what happened. They shouldn't have been lending in the first place. So self-certified mortgages were products aimed at people who are unable to provide proof of their regular income. In the UK, they were popular with self-employed professions, including freelancers, contractors, company directors, and other people with non-standard income. They were often the only way people in this category could get approved for a mortgage. With self-cert mortgages, no formal proof of income was required, and most applicants were almost guaranteed acceptance. So they were a great way of getting a mortgage if you were self-employed 15 years ago. But now, because of what happened, they introduced some regulation, and now they're overly cautious, I think, to ask someone for 2 to 3 years proof of income when you're only asking employees to provide 3 months worth of pay slips. I think that's a bit unfair. But I wanted to share it with you guys. I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. So depending on your situation, you can do the relevant planning or make the relevant decisions now or later to ensure you don't get in the situation that I did. I bought a house in 2007 at the peak. I then went self-employed, and then when that mortgage was up 2 years later, I didn't have enough business history to be able to get a new mortgage. So basically I had to go onto the bank's standard variable rate, which meant I was effectively a mortgage prisoner. So I had to wait until my employment history or my self-employment history caught up enough to get myself onto a new deal. So that's why I felt it was important to share that with you guys. And if you do go through this process, like I showed you on the criteria pages, often the lenders will ask you for your SA 302 forms and the tax year overviews. So the easiest way to access these is to go to your HMRC or the gov.uk account, go to the self-assessment section here, and providing you've already done at least one self-assessment, you'll have this link here, which is view and manage your self-assessment tax return. So click on that and then scroll down and you'll see a link here which says get your SA 302 tax calculation. And if you click the arrow next to this link here, it will show you your previous years as well. So I can download this year's SA 302 and the previous years. So you can click on those. I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to have to blur out all of my figures. And to see the tax year overviews, just click the tax year overview link as well and print those out or save them as a PDF. And then you should be able to send them to your lender and hopefully they'll accept them. So hopefully you guys have found this video useful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And what I'm going to do now is pop up 2 videos. The first one is going to show you exactly how to pay yourself the most tax efficient way to pay yourself from a limited company. And the second one is going to talk about all of the allowable business expenses that you can use to save as much tax as possible with your business. And I'll see you guys in the next video.